Oh, just a second.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first ever UCL Fantasy FPL Banger show. I guess I don't know. It's match day one. We don't have a name for it. I'm joined once again by Sam. My name is Siva. Sam, how we don't talk about UCL Fantasy, but we thought we'd do it this season. How often do you play it? How seriously do you take it? Are you the kind of guy
Oh,
who signs up and then misses all the deadlines, or do you actually show up for this game?
never miss a deadline, Siva. Never miss a deadline. I think we've been playing UCL Fantasy together for like 2, 3 years, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. We don't usually talk about it much. We have a league for it, which I'm sure Siva will reveal later on. But yeah, we don't talk about it much. We play it mostly for fun. I don't miss a deadline, but I play it kind of casually. I don't go so deep into fixtures and chip strategy and stuff like that. I mean, I do that for FPL. I want to give my mind a break. In UCL Fantasy, I'm still addicted to fantasy, so I still play it. So yeah,
Yeah, and no offense, okay, but we live in a country where deadlines are going to be at 12 at night, sometimes 2:30 at night. We don't miss any of the deadlines. So no excuse, no offense for you people living in the UK and in Europe to miss any of these deadlines. Okay, like it's easy enough. And for those who don't know, right, there is an app for UCL Fantasy, the official app. They allow you to switch on reminders, push notifications. So you really should be okay. It's only 6 match days to begin with, and then you go into the knockout rounds next year. So let's very briefly talk about rules. And I don't want to waste time because anybody can go and read these rules themselves. But let's just talk about the slight differences with FPL in terms of chips. So it's only 6 match days to begin with in the group stage. You have a wild card, which you could use in the knockout stages, but most people tend to use it up in the group stage because that's when the most fixtures happen, and therefore people would say that that's the most potential to gain in terms of points. Once you get to the knockout rounds, everybody kind of has the same team. Uh,
yeah, yeah,
and you also have the limitless chip, which is a 1 week free hit with no budget. That's basically the easiest way to describe it. So you do that typically when the biggest teams all have a good round of fixtures and you just want them off for 1 week. That's usually how Limitless would work. And so that kind of has to factor in your match day one team because if you think about it, your match day one team can be a free hit team and then you can walk out in match day two or you can Limitless in match day two. We'll talk about fixtures after this. I guess manual substitution, Sam, pretty important in this game. This is the
yeah,
one game
yeah,
where, yeah. So you make manual subs. You can make up to 4 manual subs. So it's kind of important to look at when fixtures are being played because Champions League fixtures are played on 2 days. So let's say all the guys play on Tuesday. You want some guys who play on the Wednesday because they can then be subbed in manually depending on who did badly. Then you bring in somebody else.
yeah. So ideally, you would want keepers or both your keepers to play on different days because you can
Yeah.
play one if he doesn't get a clean sheet, sub him out, sub in the next guy. And 3 subs at least who will play, but you'll probably get that. I think keepers is the one the most. Oh, captaincy options. Yeah, you probably want a captaincy option in every match day.
Yeah, and I've done my first draft without even, and I forgot about captaincy almost. Like I just took it for granted because Haaland's playing on match day one. But if you think about it, you kind of want a secondary captain if, heaven forbid, Haaland gets benched, right? And then you're stuck with Haaland captaincy. You kind of want somebody who plays on the Wednesday who is a viable captaincy pick. So something to think about when you're drafting.
Yeah, and you change it in between the days. By the way, you can't change it like in between matches. just to
Yeah,
make it clear.
yeah,
Another thing in the rules that I love about UCL Fantasy is the fact that you get points for every 3 clearances.
mm,
I Yeah, so that includes interceptions and things like that. So DMs and center backs are a lot more viable in UCL Fantasy compared to normal FPL.
yeah.
Yeah,
Ball,
no
ball
bonus.
recovery points. Yeah, you get that.
Yeah, recovery points. That's the term they use. So for clearance, tackles, interceptions, and but there's no bonus points. You do, however, get a player of the match point or something like that, right? Like extra points if you're
Man of the
only go
match.
to man of the match. Yeah, man of the match points. If you are named man of the match, so that's an extra 3 points.
Yeah, extra 3 points,
Yeah,
which is a very arbitrary kind of like UEFA picks a man of the match and You'll
Yeah.
see these guys holding up their awards and they get 3 points, which is kind of cool.
And you get one extra point if you score a goal outside the box, which is
And
kind of doesn't really affect things, but kind of fun.
yeah, I imagine someone like Madison next season, if Spurs get in, to be really cool. That's kind of why I always used to have KDB in earlier versions. And you also get points for winning a pen, unlike FPL where you may not get the assist because the guy may miss the pen.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. That's a good point. Okay.
little nuances, but honestly, it's not that hard to pick up. It's pretty easy. Let's talk teams. Okay, so I've borrowed this FDR chart from FPL Fraser, who's a very good friend of the pod. Now it's weighted based on match day one fixtures because for me and we don't want to waste too much time with chip strategy because everybody might do it differently. But for me, Sam, I'm taking match day one as kind of a pure free hit, like a punt. Like
Mm.
I have some good players who would be good either way, like City players, Barcelona players. But I'm not attached to my match day one team. I'm comfortable using limitless in match day two or probably wildcard in match day two. So on that basis, I really want to go all out match day one because as you will see from this fixture, if you're looking at the video, most of the teams that have a good fixture in match day one don't really have a good match day two, or at least it's a much harder version. So, which teams are you looking to target from here? I guess
Well, Man City pretty much has good fixtures. All every fixture is a good fixture for them. It's one of the easiest groups.
best group. I mean, they
Yeah.
play Red Star Belgrade, Leipzig, who they beat last year multiple times by very big margins. Young boys. Yeah, it's an easy group for City. I mean, you would have to be very, very stubborn not to have City players, but we'll come to drafts.
Yeah. Like you
I
said, Siva, it really depends on your strategy. So you are looking at like you want a wild card in game week 2, basically, kinda, maybe.
most likely, but maybe
So
limitless. Yeah.
you're just looking at match day 1 fixtures. My plan is to wildcard in match day 3. So I'm looking at the first two
Mm.
fixtures. I like the match day 3 wildcard plan. I did it last year as well because if you target teams that have a good fixture in match day 3, they will have a good fixture in match day 4 as well. So you get in two fixtures against maybe a weak team. So that's why I like that. So it really depends. Think about it when you want a wildcard. Really, you really should wildcard in the group stage. So you know,
Yeah.
and then make your chances based on that.
Yeah, I think ultimately you have to, you kind of want to use all your chips in the group stage because that's when there's most differentiation. So that's when you can really sort of make some ground. Once you get to knockout stages, it's really template
Yeah.
because the pool of
I think
players
the
just becomes so much
yeah
smaller.
first knockout stage is still all right. I think, but
Mm.
once the further you go, the longer you hold on to your chip, the worse it becomes. Basically,
And you get unlimited transfers for the first knockout stage. So you effectively get another wild card. Uh, so kind of again, you're effectively if you're saving any chips, you have to use them in the quarterfinals. By which point there are only 8 teams left.
yeah.
It just doesn't sit well with me. Let's talk about teams. Okay, let's talk in general then, not so much a match day one per se, because I think the teams that have a good match day one, as you can see from the screen, have a good match day three and four. Won't focus too much on match day six because by then a lot of teams will have qualified. And so if you're City, for example, you're going to bench most of your big guys. So I don't think you can guarantee having those guys for match day six as well. Porto, what did you feel about? I've looked at some of their stats from this season. They look a bit inconsistent. They look like they've lost a few players, and I'm not really sure how to call their group. So I think I would swerve Porto personally. Maybe at most have one player.
Yeah, I don't have any Porto players. Last year I had Diego Costa, who I think most people in UCL Fantasy had. Really good, but really expensive this year at 5.5.
Yeah, yeah. We'll talk positions after this. Other
Mm.
teams, I think Leipzig really decent fixtures apart from the City run. Like if you can avoid their two City fixtures, again, it's a really decent group.
Yeah, and
Um,
very attacking team. So
very attacking. Got off to a very good start in the season. Xavi Simons, Daniel Olmo. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of cheap assets as well. Good cheap defenders.
I like Barcelona. I think they got a pretty good group as well.
Yeah, Royal Antwerp, Porto, Shakhtar. I mean, again, very very favorable fixtures. Royal Antwerp haven't played in Europe for something like 60 years. Yeah, I think Barca should be fine. Triple Barca
Inter
looks
as
really
well.
good.
Yeah, yeah. Barca, Inter. has a pretty good group, and they started really strong in their domestic season.
Inter's a good shout because I feel like a lot of people will look at that first game against Real Sociedad and think, okay, Inter probably avoid, maybe tough. But actually, if you think about it, Inter have started off, like you said, a really good run to start the season. They have not conceded a goal, and I think they've won something like 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. Look in good form. Sociedad, on the other hand, have started very slow. They've lost David Silva, who had to retire, and that seems to have affected them. Like they drew three out of their first four games. So I think, and Inter finalists last season, right? So kept most of their squad, with the exception of Lukaku, which is probably an improvement. Uh, and they play Sporting Lisbon. What am I saying? Sporting Lisbon. They play Benfica and Red Bull Salzburg. Yeah, I think decent fixtures. Inter's one of those teams where I think, yeah, you could definitely look at. Bayern. Let's talk about Bayern because they play United in match day one, and I'm leaning towards avoiding Bayern, but I feel like you're more enthusiastic than I am.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad fixture for Bayern. Bayern are really strong this year. I think their two signings, Harry Kane and Kim Min Jae, really solidified the team. They have a proper goal scorer now, a proper defender that holds everything together. They start strong. I think I'm not fancying United's chances against them.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, the colors sort of make you feel more biased, but if you step back and think, yeah, Bayern at home to United feels like a good fixture, and then they play Copenhagen, Galatasaray. Yeah, I can see the logic. Let's talk about a couple more teams, Arsenal and PSG. Let's start off with PSG. Typically, UCL Fantasy, number one rule, always have Mbappe, always captain Mbappe. Is that still true this year? Because really tough group, Dortmund, Newcastle, Milan.
Uh, Dortmund has started quite poorly, actually. So, yes, they have pedigree, and I think that's what people are scared of, but they've actually not been playing so well in the
Okay.
Bundesliga. And Mbappe has been insane since he came back.
As he always is. He did have a knock during international break, so I mean, you'll have to sort of see this closer to the deadline. But so you're comfortable having PSG players, or is it just Mbappe, the only one you'd have?
Yeah, just Mbappe. Just Mbappe, man. It's all you need.
Fair.
If I'm not
It's one of
mistaken,
those,
he scored like 4 goals in the 2 games he's in back or something like that.
yeah.
Something
And he's
crazy.
like a Haaland, right? You even in the hardest of fixtures, you can only go so wrong. I don't think, yeah, you can go too
Yeah,
badly.
fixture proof, basically.
Yeah. I am gonna avoid Arsenal, I think. And am I being too negative? Because it looks like a, I mean, PSV, Lens, and Sevilla.
Didn't you
Uh,
play against PSV last year
yeah, and
in
we
the
didn't win.
Europa? You did, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
is that why you're scared?
Mm, I think we'll do better this time because it's a fixture we'll take more seriously. It's Champions League, but I'm not. I don't think it's so good compared to like look at all these other teams, and I think they all have much better game week one fixtures and just better fixtures across the board. I feel like Arsenal's at most maybe Saka is the only one I would have.
Hmm. Sorry. But I was going to say Lens and Sevilla has been quite bad as well in their respective leagues. So in that respect, a good group for Arsenal, but sometimes you never know. They can do poorly in their domestic league, but then when it comes to Champions League, they turn it on. So
Yeah, I think it's Lons. We're gonna have to work on our pronunciation here, but
long.
yeah, Lons.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But
Sorry, French people.
they have both them and Sevilla started quite poorly. So if you're taking it, if not so much a match day one focus like you are, Sam, if you're looking at more broad based match day one and match day two, then maybe Arsenal players make more sense. Um, anybody else before we get into positions? Any other teams you worth discussing?
Um, I would say avoid any team that plays in Newcastle's group, which is Newcastle, Milan.
Dortmund and PSG.
Yeah, except for Mbappe, who is fixture proof, but everyone else, it's so hard to call. I literally do not know. When you respect like Milan versus Newcastle, Milan may be better on paper, but Newcastle, Dortmund again, like I said, bad in the domestic league, but they do have pedigree. It's so hard to call. Avoid all of them except Mbappe, I guess.
Okay. I like to talk about two teams. I think I think people will dismiss very easily. Feyenoord and
Hmm.
Galatasaray. So Feyenoord Dutch champions back in the UCL after a very long time. So not much pedigree at this competition, but they've kept most of their best players, and they've got what is known as being a really like tough stadium to go to. And they play Celtic in match day one, and Celtic were really bad last season. Only took 2 points from the entire competition in 6 games. No
Yep.
reason to assume that Celtic have improved. You know, they've swapped Postecoglou for Rogers. I think like match day one, really good fixture for Feyenoord. And Galatasaray, start off with Copenhagen at home. Galatasaray, famously known for having a really tough stadium to go to, strengthened the team a lot. They've signed
Yeah.
Icardi, Zaha, Angelino. It's a decent team. And then
And
they
Icardi has been on fire, I think. Top
7
scorer in the
goals,
leagues. Yeah,
something. Yeah,
7 goals in five games. I don't know how many games, but yeah.
yeah. On pens, and they play United match day too. So even if you're holding, like you say, Sam, United a bit shaky.
Mm,
Uh, so yeah, I think those are teams. Apart from the ones we already discussed, that I would consider.
Napoli.
Madrid in match day two, though. I mean, but I guess
Okay.
depends on
Okay.
strategies.
Yeah.
If you're only looking at match day one, then yeah, maybe Osimhen, Di Lorenzo, I guess.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Let's talk positions. We have drafts on the screen now, but these are very loose. And let's be honest, it's any draft now is worthless because we're going to change these like 100 times before we get to deadline. Let's start off with keeper, Sam. Why do you have a Shakhtar Donetsk keeper?
Oh, I changed it. See, well, you're not using my latest one.
Okay, tell me who is your current keeper.
Okay. I went for the two cheapest possible keepers in the game
Okay, which would
because
be
I decided to pump all my money up front. First off, I have Benefica's new keeper, or not new keeper, but they sold their main keeper to Forest. So now a 4.0 keeper named Samuel Suarez has been starting all their domestic games. 4.0, Siva. 4.0. I mean,
he is apparently not guaranteed to start this game, from what I
he has been
understand.
starting every single game they have in the league. Yes, they signed a new keeper, but I think at 4.0, I'll take the risk.
And he plays on the second day, so presumably you get a nailed keeper who plays on the first day, on the
Yeah,
Tuesday, who will
hopefully.
make sure you don't have to think about this too hard. Who is the first keeper?
I'm not putting much hope on keepers. So my first keeper is Leipzig's keeper,
Uh,
Janis Blaszczewicz, who is 4.5.
and is a really good price considering Leipzig play young boys on match day one, I think.
And honestly, there are not many good value keepers who plays on match day one.
Yeah.
I would love to have Jan Sommer, but he plays on match day two, which then clashes with my other keeper. So had
Mm.
to get rid of him. Really good pick though. I think if you're looking for a 4.5 keeper who plays in the match day two slot, Jan Sommer has an incredible 100% save rate in the league right now because he's
Okay.
only faced his because he's only faced one shot so far in the 3 games he's played for Inter and he saved it. So 100% save rate, 100% clean sheet rate.
Yeah, Inter
Um,
haven't conceded yet, so okay, fair.
yeah, yeah. But it's kind of crazy that he's only faced one shot. But 4.5, extremely cheap. Yeah, I don't see many keepers better for that at that price range. Now there are better keepers if you move up in price, but I want to put all my money up front, so I've gone budget in the
Okay.
in the keeper slots.
I have Ter Stegen and Suarez in my current draft. Ter Stegen's 5.5. I will concede very expensive, but Barca play Antwerp. Like I feel like that's a guaranteed clean sheet, but maybe I'm overspending there. Maybe I could spend it somewhere else. I think Jan Sommer is a fairly decent shout for the price. Um, shall we talk defenders, right? So we both have Jules Koundé. He's 5 mil. I think
Mhm.
that's kind of one of those no-brainer picks.
Yeah,
And
so very involved in the Barca defense for clearances and yeah, clearances. I think I looked it up on who
very
scored.
good.
Yeah, so which is what you want in UCL Fantasy. You want players who take a lot of clearances, a lot of interceptions. They get more extra points.
Yeah, and he's cheaper than so they're wing backs. I wanted a Barca wing back, but Balde, who is nailed at left back, is 6 mil. I don't really want to pay 6 mil.
Wow.
Yeah, and Cancelo, who obviously we all love Cancelo, but he's competing with Sergio Roberto, who is a right back as well. So I don't think Cancelo's nailed. Again,
I
don't
think
feel
Kunde
like
at
paying
five
extra.
is he's underpriced because he's cheaper than all the other Barca defenders.
Yeah,
So you
and
just
cheaper
go
than
for
Ter
it.
Stegen. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I'm impressed to see. Well, maybe your current draft will change that, but at the time when I had this last draft for yours, you had a Kanji and I have
Uh-huh.
Diaz. Do you still have a
I
City defender?
no, I decided, Siva, like few hours before we did this, that I will not have any English Premier League players in my team because I'm just bored of seeing their names in FPL
Hmm.
every week. So zero players from EPL.
So you've decided to ban players from the best league in the tournament.
Yeah,
It's a bold strategy, Sam. Let's see if it pays off for you.
I doubt it will, but let's have fun, I guess.
Okay, what
Only
are
for
the
the good
defenders?
bit, maybe. Yeah.
What are the
I have
defenders?
Di Lorenzo, who you don't have, Siva, but Di Lorenzo always does well for Napoli. Always gets assists. Really attacking. No brainer pick to me.
Okay, fair. I may have to reconsider that. I play Syria Fantasy and I have him there, so I probably really should be rethinking
Hmm.
this.
Okay.
Um, well, Alfonso Davis. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. You really don't like United.
I really
I
don't like
think.
United, and I really like how Fonzie has been playing this season. Already
Okay,
2 assists, if I'm not mistaken. It's been doing well. So yeah, Fonzie.
fair. We both have Denzel Dumfries. I'm
I
assuming.
changed mine to Dimarco just to
Ah,
be
you
different.
just want to be, just want to be different.
However, I'm actually really considering Bastoni, who really is involved in terms of clearances, tackles, and interceptions in the defense.
Not sexy, mate. You want the wingbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of
Mm,
why we're playing
yeah.
this game, right? Dumfries
That's
and
why I went
DiMarco.
for that's why I went for Dimarco in the end, because you want the sexy wingbacks.
Allegedly, DiMarco is more nailed for Inter, but they've played the exact same minutes, him and Dumfries so far, 4 games, small sample size. Dumfries has scored one, assisted one, DiMarco has 2 assists. I
Yeah.
think both are fine. You could even have both, to be honest.
Okay.
Uh, your
Oh,
other
my last defender
defenders?
is Carvajal. Just Real Madrid pedigree, man. Just
Okay.
banking on that. That's all.
Yeah, I think their fixture against Union Berlin should be fairly easy. Union are a very budget team. Like they're really just running this on a budget, and I don't see them doing anything against Madrid. Very inspiring story, but I don't think
Mhm.
they'll be doing anything against them. I've got the two Leipzig guys. I'm surprised you don't have them,
I
Heinrichs and
really
Raum.
like them. I really like them, especially Raum. Very attacking.
So both 4.5 fullbacks and have gotten attacking returns already this season. So I think uh, viable shouts. Nobody else I think I would consider here except for maybe. So I consider Angelino, who plays for Galatasaray, but he's 5.5 mil for a team that I don't think keeps a lot of clean sheets. So that feels very expensive. And I think Benfica have some decent options. Alexander Barr, 5 million right back. Uh, that's about it, I think.
I They have a centre back, Antonio Silva, who I really like. Very involved with tackles, kind of one of those players who what's the term? What's the term? Sweeper? Not really, but
Yeah.
he rushes out. He basically gets all the tackles in the team. So very involved. Last season was 4.5. I loved having him in. This year is a bit more expensive at 5. So, but still good.
Yeah, and decent fixtures, I think.
Mhm.
Let's talk midfield, right? So let's start off with the big ones, right? Would you still have Saka? Oh, well, you've banned
No,
Saka, right?
no, no,
But
no Premier League players anymore.
for
Okay,
normal,
first off, we both have Bellingham, right? You have
yeah,
to. He's severely underpriced at 7.5 in the game. I think they did not expect him to do as well as he is for Real Madrid. La Liga top scorer, man.
yeah, 5 goals already in 4 games and scored for England this week. You don't need to overthink this. Bellingham's definitely in. We both have Xavi Simons.
I really like Simons. I think he did really well at PSV last year and carried over his form to Red Bull this year.
Yeah, and I have
Oh, we're not
Foden.
supposed to call them. They are not Red Bull. I'm sorry. They are called RB Leipzig.
We're gonna
Has
get
nothing
sued.
to do with Red Bull there. Yeah.
Completely different entities. Yeah, yeah. They're called RB Leipzig. Yes. Yeah. So Xavi Simons look really good. I like Danny Olmo, who's 7 mil, also from Leipzig. The only issue is he has a knock. So
Hmm.
again, one to but the good thing about Leipzig is they play the first game of match day one. They play the early game, so you will get the lineup before deadline. Like not a
Uh,
leak. Like you get the legit lineup before deadline, so you can pick Daniel Olmo if he starts. I think he's a really decent pick at 7 mil.
okay.
Um,
Yeah.
Kimmich, you want to explain Joshua Kimmich?
Yeah,
Why is
he's
he?
been ever present in my team for as long as I've been playing UCL Fantasy, and he does really well actually. Occasional assist, very occasional goal, a lot of what's that term they use? Ball recoveries. Just ticks along.
Okay.
Nice way to have, and always cheap. You know, he's every year he's cheap. So
Okay. Not sexy, but okay, fair.
not
I mean, in
sexy at
terms of
all.
not sexy. Okay. Who else you got?
Well, when you see my forward line, Siva, you understand why I need all this money. I need all these cheaper options. I have Gundo, who also kind of has been doing really well for Barca. Kind of expensive though, at 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But yeah, 2 assists already so far this season. Again, ball recoveries, assists. What more can you want?
Yeah, I struggled with thinking about a Barca mid, but I didn't really consider Gundo. Maybe it's like almost I assumed he just would be too boring, but maybe I need to rethink that because Gavi doesn't look very attacking. So yeah, maybe Gundo. Maybe I need to
Yeah,
go
and
look
Pedri is
back at
always injured now. So
yeah.
Gundo.
And
Lastly, I have Quentin Timber. Who? Fun fact, I just found out he is his twin brother.
yes,
I
Euros
always
Victor.
kind of knew they were brothers, but I didn't know they were twins.
They were twins, mate. How do you manage to get the worst Timber brother? Like
So I again, you mentioned Feyenoord, Fer,
Feyenoord.
Feyenoord earlier, and I agree. They're really good looking team, I think, and they carried their form from last season, still doing well this year. So I looked into their midfielders. I was considering a few of them. I realized I looked into the stats. Timber gets a lot of defensive actions and also a decent number of key passes. I think his key passes per game is something like 1, which is pretty good for a DM. So he's cheap, good chance of assists. Maybe he already has 1 or 2 assists this year. He's 5 mil, by the way,
Hmm.
and nil. So you know,
Yeah,
it's a good enabler, I guess.
budget mids are really hard. I think the only guy I considered at 5 mil is the Benfica midfielder. I'm going to struggle to pronounce his name. Frederick Arsnes, who's a Norwegian midfielder who plays everywhere for Benfica. He's the utility man. He plays fullback, he plays attacker, he plays
Mm.
midfield, but he plays. And that's the most important thing. He gets attacking returns and he's 5 mil. So I like him. But I've kind of eliminated the budget mid from my area because if you look at my team on the screen, so I have Foden, 8 mil. I don't like Foden. He may not stay, but it's Champions League and I kind of want to be, again, maybe this is as fun as I get having Foden. Like that's as exciting as I will be. Uh, I've got, I think, I can't believe you don't have him, but Marcus Thuram, who is 6.5 mil, playing up front for Inter Milan, but he's a 6.5 million midfielder. So that's just, I mean, OP budget, game breaking kind of value. I think Lautaro is a bit expensive at 9 mil. So I like Marcus Thuram at 6.5. And then Calvin Stengs,
Mhm.
attacking midfielder for Feyenoord. So I went 1 million more than you. And again, good fixtures, good stats to start off the season. Playing Celtic at home, I think Celtic's a really good fixture. So on a match day one strategy, I think I like him. But maybe if I wasn't going match day one, I'd have somebody more reliable, like you say, a Gundo or somebody who you can keep.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I did hear about Marcus Thuram. Very
Mm.
tempted. Very tempted actually to shift out Kimmich for Thuram, but I decided to stay loyal to my guy who has done me well for the past 3 years.
Okay, fair. Any other mids we haven't really considered here?
There are a lot. I mean, we didn't talk about Saka. We didn't
Mm.
talk about any of the United mids. Like Bruno tends to do really well in. Historically, Bruno does well in Champions League because he's so involved, right? Besides the assist, he gets tackles, he's running around.
Yeah, but tough
Yeah,
fixture, right? Bayern
tough.
away, match day one, right?
Mhm. Oh, Leroy Sané,
Oh, yeah, I've
who
seen a
has
lot of
been
drafts of
doing,
him.
yeah, he's been doing really well for Bayern actually. If I had the money, I would go for him.
Actually, I typically have Sane. I haven't considered this season because I was rating
Oh.
United, but maybe I should reconsider since you don't rate United.
If you like Sane in previous seasons, you should see him now. Cause with Harry Kane, they have a great partnership right now. He looks
Mm.
really good.
One popular mid who I would normally pick, and I'm not picking this season, João Mario, who plays for Benfica. Typically very good. He's 8 mil this season, but he has lost pens to Di Maria, who has just joined. And Di Maria is
Mm.
a forward for some silly reason. This
Yeah,
game's a bit weird. Martinelli is a forward as well, but Saka's a mid. So I'm not picking João Mario this year.
same. I think for that price, I went for Gundo instead. So
Hmm. Okay. And no Madrid mids, except for Bellingham. But I guess
yeah, I
that's
think Bellingham's enough, man. He does everything in the team now. So
yeah. Fair. All right. Let's okay. My attack is Lewandowski, Haaland, and Icardi. Lewandowski and Haaland. Okay, you don't have Haaland. We'll skip Haaland. Good luck to you. Lewandowski, no brainer, right?
I don't have Lewandowski.
Okay.
He's not been that good, honestly,
They
for
play.
Barca.
They're playing Antwerp, mate. Royal. You know who Royal Antwerp starting centre back is?
Is it an old Premier League player name
Yes.
that we should know?
Yes. You should.
Uh, is it Belgian?
Yes.
Is it like Vertonghen or
Close.
Alderweireld?
It's Alderweireld.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, mate. They're
Former
playing
Spurs
Toby
scouting.
Alderweireld in 2023. Okay. Like he's already gone to the Middle East and come back. That's how old he is. Okay.
Okay. I don't know. I'm happy with just Gundo. I went for Kane over Lewa.
This is the anti-United bias in you. You're just going
Yeah.
overboard.
No, it's not even United. I think when I opened up the game, the very first player I picked in this entire game was Kane. He's been
Okay.
doing well for Bayern, and I
Yes,
miss
yes.
him. I miss not being able to pick him in FPL, so I decided he's going straight into my team.
Okay. I mean, it's not a bad pick. I mean, Bayern by definition will be a good team, so it can't go that wrong. He's adapted much better than Mane has. So
Mhm.
yeah, fair.
So yeah, I went Kane, I went Mbappe, which you don't have in your team for some reason. And I went Lautaro. I went for Lautaro. He's been doing really well for Inter in Syria. Five
Okay. So
goals,
you,
6 goals, a top scorer, if I'm not mistaken, in
yeah,
Syria. So
yeah, fair. I can't argue with any of those picks. Lautaro especially has looked really good, and I mean, it's just that I mean Inter play Sociedad on match day one. It's a good fixture, but it's not great. And I already have Marcus Thuram, so I don't want to commit too much to the Inter attack. And I have Mauro Icardi, who people on Twitter who don't know football are telling me don't pick him. But Icardi, as we discussed, right, talisman for Galatasaray, Copenhagen home match day one is a really good fixture. Even if you needed to keep him, you take your chances against United. I think, yeah, he's just expensive. That's what's putting people off. Um, and actually, Julian Alvarez, your initial draft is not a bad pick. Like I know why you went because you just wanted a cheap City guy, but
yeah,
if you
pretty
think
much.
if you think but if you think about it, right, you'd expect Alvarez to play the easier games, especially, and they're playing Red Star Belgrade. Crvena Zaveda, English name is Red Star Belgrade. Match day one at home. Like, Alvarez should actually have a really good haul, and he's so cheap. He's what, 7 mil?
Yeah, I would love to have Alvarez, but I decided not to have any EPL players, so he's not my team.
But for a normal person, you'd recommend Alvarez.
Yeah, definitely. But the thing is, right, there's so many forward options. Like
Yeah,
you mentioned earlier, there are even some good midfield options or options who should be in the midfield, but they place them in the forward, and therefore no one is going to pick them, which is kind of sad because you can only have three, and definitely you would have like one of Haaland or two of Haaland, Kane, Lewandowski, Mbappe, and then that's it. You only have one budget slot left
yeah.
with
Fair.
like, I don't know, 10 possible players.
Yeah, fair. I may swap this simply because I may want a captaincy option for the second day. So I think, yeah, there's more to think about here. Neither of us have picked any Leipzig forwards. They've got Lois Openda, Benjamin Sesko, Timo Werner. My concern is they have too many people, and I don't think my guy gets 90 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. One player I really like is Rafa Silva, Benfica,
Hmm,
who has
Benfica,
been
okay.
playing really well. He has been scoring I think 3 or 4 goals already this season. Great
Mm,
partnership with Di Maria and 8 mil, so kind of cheap on the forward slot. Again, the only problem is that there isn't enough forward slots. So
yeah. Taremi, Porto,
mm,
Shakhtar, matchday one.
yeah. So I don't know. I'm just not feeling Porto, I guess.
They've
They've
form has been poor to start the season. I mean, they've won their games, but all like last minute winners. So people
yeah,
feel like three in a row. So people a bit iffy on that.
and I think Taremi hasn't scored, or maybe only
He's
scored very
playing
few.
slightly more withdrawn. It's a bit
Mm,
weird. Not sure if he's even on pens because Galeno, who's the 6.5 mid, took the last pen but then missed it. A lot of uncertainty about Porto, and I find it hard to read Shakhtar because on paper they have a horrible team. They've lost all their foreign players. They're basically playing a full Ukrainian squad, and they don't even get to play at home. Obviously, they have to
mm.
play in Germany, but they did okay last season, right? They took some points off Leipzig, and they finished third in their group. They finished ahead of Celtic. They fight really hard. Some of their players would have played for Ukraine against England. I don't know how to read them. They may not be as weak as we think they are.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I had a Shakhtar keeper in my first draft. He's
Hmm.
gone now, but yeah, that was my reasoning behind it.
No Victor Osimhen.
Mm.
Napoli.
Yeah, again, just not enough slots. I went for Lautaro over Osimhen. I think Osimhen's a great pick, but he's 10, right?
Yeah.
So I think Mbappe is a better pick. I think Harry Kane is also a better pick than Osimhen, and then I have not enough money to make my third striker Osimhen.
Okay.
Like I
Fair.
said,
Fair.
a lot of striker options, but you only can pick three.
Okay. Anybody else? I did consider the Feyenoord striker, Mexican guy. I want to say Dominguez, but he's taken a knock in international break, so it's one of those
Mm.
probably not worth the risk. Um, Anybody else have we not mentioned here? Who I think that's about it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, in the keepers, jumping all the way back, Kepa for Real Madrid,
5 mil,
cheap, 5 mil, 5 mil, cheap.
very cheap route into that. I suppose you can't pick somebody like Joselu or somebody, right? And not nailed enough, right, for Madrid.
Yeah. Plus, the whole team is not doing anything except for Bellingham. With their mids, though, I think you can consider Kamavinga or um, no, Valverde hasn't even really been starting, right?
No.
In previous years, I would pick Valverde because he tends to get a lot of ball recoveries and the occasional assists and goal. More so
Hmm.
last year than normal. But yeah, it seems like he lost his place. But they're you know um, they have players you can pick, but once you pick Bellingham, I don't know if I'll double up with two Real Madrid midfielders.
Yeah, fixtures are fine, but not amazing to necessitate, I think, a double up. Uh,
Yeah.
One person who's not in the game still as we record this, but may have been added by the time you're listening, is Yassin Lamal, who plays for Barca, 16 years old, very
Mm.
attacking, just scored in Spain for his Spain in his debut. Don't know if he gets added as a forward or midfielder, but if he comes in at a reasonable price, I think that's a very nice option.
I would think forward based on the way
Right?
they've categorized all the players, which kind of sucks because if he's a
Yeah,
forward, I don't think anyone would pick him. Really good player though.
yeah. Much fairer though, if you think about it. Like some of these guys really are forwards, right? Like Martinelli, fair is a forward. Although Wysaka's a mid, I don't know. But that's
Yeah, yeah.
um. Anything else, Sam? I think that's. I wanted to
I
keep it
mean,
kind of short, but anything else?
yeah, yeah. I think that's it. That's it. That's it. It's
Yeah.
really not much to talk about because we have no form to go off on or anything. It's purely just um, basing it on
Vibes.
fixtures and vibes and maybe their domestic form, which doesn't always translate to Europe. But yeah, that's all we got.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm
because some of these the teams
sorry, I was
playing like
going to say
really. Yes, go ahead.
I was going to say I'm really sad I can't pick any AC Milan players though because I love Rafael Leo and Malik Thiaw. Thiaw,
Mark Thiaw. Yeah.
Thiaw, yeah, did really well for me last year, but with their group, I'm not going near them.
Yeah, so I guess we should talk about Milan for a bit because in a normal season, you always have Leao, Theo Hernandez. These are like template picks.
And
Theo
Theo is like
Hernandez
the
worth
most expensive defender in the game, I think.
7 mil, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
6.5.
but you can't have them with their group. It's just too difficult a group. It doesn't just you can't justify it really.
Yeah.
Um,
Shame. It's a shame.
yeah, you got to play the fixtures. You only have 6 fixtures here, and by game week 4, everybody's rotating their teams anyway. So yeah, you really sort of need to have a short term mindset to this game, I think. So yeah,
Hmm.
no Milan players, no Newcastle players, no Lazio players, no Atletico players. I think, as far as I can tell.
Well, I did consider Griezmann for a bit because he was
Mm.
really good for Atletico last year, but he kind of hasn't really hit it off yet this year. I did consider um suddenly I cannot remember Argentinian Rodrigo de
Argentino,
Paul,
Rodrigo de Paul. Oh, okay, okay.
who has
Midfielder.
yeah, all action midfielder. I think for UCL fantasy, all action midfielders are the best because all you need is some tackles, some interceptions, you get ball recovery points, occasional assists. Whoa, that's a haul already. And the fact that you can sub them out means you can take more of this kind of risk that you won't normally take in FPL.
Mm.
You know, kind of higher ceiling type of players, maybe.
Yeah, and they tend to be quite cheap, especially the DMs, right? So you can
Yeah.
sort of use them to pad out the fact that you have a like god tier attack, and then you have some DMs to sort of pad it out. Yeah, makes sense. I'm with you. Okay. I guess we will definitely tinker with these drops. So you'll see the final drops before deadline. Uh, Mini league code will be in the description, so join up. And yeah, I guess that's all for us now. Uh,
That's it, guys. So have fun, have fun, have fun with UCL Fantasy.
yeah, and if it goes well, we'll see you for match day 2. If it doesn't go well, yeah, we'll see.